Hey guys, welcome to the show tonight, TLC Unleashed, and it's a Hollywood vibe, sports and life here. So we are live in the studio today. I've got a couple amazing guests on the show tonight. First, we have on the first segment of the show, Miss Marneen Fields. She is an extraordinary woman. She used to be a stunt woman and an actress and now a singer. This woman is remarkable. So let's give her a warm welcome to the show. Hi, Marneen.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is a long time coming. You're finally here.
I'm finally here. I'm excited. I got here in the rain, but I'm here.
Yes, actually, I can say that this is a storm out in here in LA. So people back home in Canada, yep, it's a storm.
It's a bad storm today.
Yeah, someone told me it's Storm Lucifer. I don't know if that was just made up, Terry. I don't know if you made that up or not, but anyway. So I'm glad you made it safe and sound. And so let's go back into your career. I mean, when did you stunt woman? I mean, this is, something after my own heart, as you guys all know, that I love stunts. And that's something that I really am I'm not going to say try, but I'm going to be doing and getting involved in the next little while here, learning some boxing and martial arts and some fun stuff. So tell me about your career, when it started and what it was like.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, I got my start as I was one of 3 women in the state of California to receive an athletic scholarship in gymnastics in 1973.
Okay.
And they didn't give those to women back then.
Yeah.
And I was a Class 1 advanced all-around champion gymnast. And I was on floor exercise. I did many of, if you remember Olga Corbett, she was my role model. And I remembered reading her book in college that was The Competition is Within, not with other people. And I studied that book, profusely, and I started to compete with myself. Well, my brother met a stuntman named Paul Stater, and he had a stunt school in Santa Monica. Yeah. And I was home having an ankle reconstruction surgery.
Okay.
And I met Paul Stater. I said, I'll give it 6 months, and if it doesn't work out, I go back to college. I had 3 years of college, and I was the #1 gymnast at Utah State University and 3rd in the entire state on floor exercise and 5th on balance beam. Wow. So Paul recognized that champion gymnast in me, took me under his wing, and within 6 months to the day, I had like 5 TV series at Universal. And he got me into the Man from Atlanta series, and I did these really, really high dives and high falls, and, he trained us at kickboxing and all of this. And then one day the phone rang, and they asked me if I could jump off a moving train. And I got cast as the girl that Clint Eastwood punches off the moving train in The Gauntlet. Wow. So my first film, I went from the 5 TV series and Movies of the Week to Clint Eastwood as my first feature film.
How was that? I mean, how nerve-wracking would that be? You're just like, you want to say yes right away, but that's intimidating.
It was.
Yeah.
And see, the line was, you wouldn't hit a girl, would you? And then he slugs her in the face, and so I have to go backward off the train, perform a half twist. And back then, that's when us stunt people, we didn't have, the airbags were just coming in. We didn't, most of what I did was either into sand or boxes or straight onto my feet or back. I was a pioneering Hollywood stunt woman. And this year, 2017, is a very big year for me because I met a film historian, John Harrison, who's also my husband. Okay. And I met him 1 year ago, and he developed an interest in me and in my career. And he is a film historian on 2 books about my life and career as a Hollywood stunt woman turned actress and singer. And it's an exciting time. And we actually just did a big presentation where we introduced Clint Eastwood's The Gauntlet, and I relived the experience with John asking questions.
Amazing, amazing. So how did that turn out? You weren't injured in that scene, were you?
No, I was not injured in any of the stunts that I did. I mean, there was always something that went wrong, but there was an angel on my shoulder all those years. Then one day, 12 years into my career, top Hollywood stunt woman in the world, and I was had just been coined coined Hollywood's original fall girl because I did all the really high falls on like 25 different shows. And so the Stuntman's Association and Bill Ketching, who was a very famous stunt coordinator, they awarded me a Fall Girl license plate. And so everyone was starting to call me the Fall Girl. And in the meantime, prior to that, I had met actor-director Victor French of Highway to Heaven and Little House on the Prairie, and he was Lee J. Cobb's son-in-law.
Okay.
Well, I was already studying acting, and I was studying acting in college also, and he took me under his wing for all of the acting stuff. Well, one day then, 12 years and all the success and getting these acting roles and co-starring in some films and guest starring, I have a horrible car accident. And a guy who was 19 years old from another country that worked in a textile wrapping company, he came through my driver door. And it was a miracle I lived. It took me another 10 years with a series of abdominal operations, and I fought for my life. And that's when I came in touch with my childhood dreams to become a composer, go back to school, work on my singing and my songwriting while continuing to act. And those days are here again.
And so is that the car accident? Is that what took you out of the stunt world?
That's correct. Yeah. Everything about me was this amazing gymnastics ability. And once I lost that, even the acting roles I would do, you know, get a role as being raped or something, and then have to do get thrown out a window or get set on fire. Like Stanley Kramer, he cast me in The Runner Stumbles, but I'm one of the nuns in the convent. Dick Van Dyke carries through the burning fire. So there was always all the stunts with it. So once I lost that, and I was still doing theater, and I was still serious about acting, but it was so it's really wonderful to have healed, come back stronger and bigger than ever before with, you know, it's just a miracle.
Good for you. And you have the right attitude about it, too, and the smile to go with it.
Thank you.
You know, because that's, you know, it's weird, the irony of it, when you think of it. It's kind of like, you know, I think of the Fast and Furious, you know, how, you know, you did stunts for so long, and then what takes you out after doing all these falls, all these stunts, and then a car accident. It's kind of like Paul Walker.
Art. Life imitated art in my life. It really did.
Yeah. And Paul Walker, the same thing. And then, you know, he loses his life to a car accident, you know, driving at high speed in an exotic car. It's just, you know, when you think about it, it's just, you know, there's always a plan for us in life. And as we talked a little bit earlier, you know, it was already set out for us. So we kind of, you know, now you get to explore into a new part, a new chapter of your life. How exciting. Unfortunately, it turned out the way it did and happened the way it did. But
that's what my book is about. Cartwheels and Halos, a true Marneen Lynne Field story. It's about coming in touch with your childhood dreams in the wake of terrible tragedy. I was a child musician. All I ever wanted to do is sing my whole life. And when the day they passed out instruments in school was the biggest day for me. And so when I had nothing else, I was in heights of screaming and excruciating pain and grabbing the doorway. All I could do was drag myself to the microphone. And so, you know, it's bittersweet, and it's been full of loss and pain, but I've been able to, I'm never happier than when I'm getting to sing.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, let's talk about your acting career, too. So you went from the stunt, how long did it take you to rehabilitate through your injuries from the car accident?
Well, I ended up, It took about a decade because I ended up having 5 major abdominal operations. And after the car accident, I was disabled 1 year in neck and pelvic traction. I came from being a national gymnast to being unable to hang laundry or turn my head to the left, And so it was long and excruciating, but I had always been acting. And I met Victor French in 1979, and I Paul Stater in 1976, and then the Clint Eastwood film in 1977. So I was already really serious about acting from the day that I walked into Victor French's workshop, and just the passion of acting. It was more what I was all about. I never really enjoyed stunts. When the first thing you learn when you start doing stunts is they take away the mats. The tumbling mats that you fell on in gymnastics, they're no longer there. It's now the concrete, the hardwood. And I stepped into the shoes of 150 of the world's most famous women, from Jane Seymour to Priscilla Presley to Kim Cattrall. And for those 12 years, I was able to be them, walk like them, talk like them, and do these amazing stunts for all of them, which is a miracle in and of itself, and acting. To be able, that was where the craft of acting came in. So then in the mid-'80s, my acting career took off. I became one of the first women, which was always for me, the first to get that athletic scholarship. One of the first women to come from the pure stunt arena to really make the break as an actress and start getting the respect. And I was cast in the large co-star role of Hellhole as the insanity girl who receives a chemical lobotomy from Mary Warnoff and Marshall Gortner. And everyone thought she's destined, she's now going to be, female Johnny Depp or something. Well, it wasn't meant to be. And one of my songs is, you can't make happen what isn't meant to be, no matter how hard you try. And I then landed a series of guest star things, Scarecrow, Mrs. King, and Otherworld, and more theatrical things. Then the accident just took it all, and I ended up losing everything. But I then, in 2012, I started winning Best Blues Artist of the Year and stuff. And you can't sing the blues unless you've lived them. In those 12 years, when losing everything was that I loved. I loved that career more than I can even describe to anyone.
Yeah. No, I know, because I've been through a serious car accident in 95, and not able to walk, serious neck, back injuries.
And look at what you've done with it.
Thank you. And, a lot of major accidents. I mean, there was a point where, walking wasn't an option for me. I was in the pool, water walking with, weights around me, and just rehabilitated my absolutely from basically almost head to toe. I've broken pretty much every bone in my body, and that's not even doing stunts. I set off a lot of metal detectors at the airport.
Oh
So, what was some of the most memorable stunts that you did? What was one of the ones that you loved the most, and one of the least favorite ones that you did?
Oh, okay. Well, one of the most memorable ones I did was for a riptide, and I had to run full speed to a barbed wire fence in spike heels. And I had to, with one arm, scale this barbed wire fence in spike heels and throw the manuscript over and go over the fence in one arm and then run off. And it was the most challenging of all stunts I've ever done, because as I started to scale this fence at high speed, my heels came down and and the camera's behind me, so I'm stuck in the barbed wire fence like a spider, And so I came down, and I'm like, that's one of the few stunts that I had to do several times, because I had to figure out how to get my toes far enough in those heels and also the heel spike, the spike of the heel, far enough out of the way so that I wouldn't trap me in that barbed wire fence. And so that was incredibly challenging. They all were challenging. I had amazing dexterity, and the things that I had to do, which if you do watch Hellhole, I'm the girl in the cafeteria, you'll see some of the dexterous stuff as I walk across a counter, doing the sign of the cross, and all of the trays are falling around me, and then walking across a plate of food at high speed, and so, you hear really famous stunt coordinators and stunt directors that I've worked with, they say, unless you have that gymnastics talent. Now, I was in a car, I did some car stuff, but no, it was this gymnastics, the ability that
So are those some of the things that you would suggest to young people looking to get into the industry, looking to get into stunts? Because obviously there's, a certain talent there that you have to have, but you also have to have, basic skills of whether it's martial arts, gymnastics,
The martial arts, and
fitness.
if you watch TV today, almost every show you turn on Netflix, they're all karate champions, all
Yeah.
the women even.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, and I did do karate on a Stacy Keach and beat up on my camera and beat up a Stacy Keach and that, and so I was trained for a lot of drop kicks and a lot of motion picture fighting. But in my day, there was no jerk off cables. It was my legs. And there was, I did get to do one high fall in an airbag. The rest of the high falls were no airbags. They were mattresses. They brought in blankets. I fell from the top of the boiler room of the Queen Mary onto my back into some blankets on Goliath weights. And so we really were the pioneering, stunt women back then.
I would say so. I'm impressed and, a little intimidated. I mean, what are some of the things that you would say to, words of wisdom? Just, is it a matter in your mind as well, not only having that physical conditioning and level of achievement, but also saying, hey, go for it, try and do this, get in there. What can you say to all these young and upcoming actors?
Well, I would have to say that for the gymnastics type of things or the karate things, unless you have those certifications, unless you're an advanced all-around gymnast or a national gymnast. And the other thing I would say is that, I trained like you train now. I did 5 and 10 mile a day workouts when I wasn't working on the set or hired as I was always running or biking or skating or doing the gymnastics. You have to train. You have to keep in shape.
Yes.
For stunt work, if anyone's out there going to do stunt work, you definitely want to make sure that we wore the little boys' football girdles and knee pads, elbow pads, but I want to say pad the tailbone. I have a fractured, deformed tailbone today that it makes it very, very, uncomfortable with pressure to sit on. And I fell on that doggone tailbone, like they'd have me going over, throw me over a table. And wouldn't you know, I'd hit, bang,
right in that
and on
spot,
that tailbone. Right? And that, and I'm sure that now there's maybe even some other, but I say get a pad in there, and because those tailbone injuries, they've really hurt.
And what about the coaching and the training and, the acting coaches and things like that as well?
Well, now acting is a completely different arena because acting is no stunts. Now, even though my acting jobs involved a stunt and an acting job on most cases, most acting jobs, you want to learn the craft. There's a whole craft to acting that makes acting the most beautiful experience you're ever going to have. And it deals with, subtext between the lines, creating your character. And you'll only learn that by going to a really good acting school professionally, studying the craft of acting. And that's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with the craft of acting. I didn't think I could make it as a singer. And even though that was my love and what I was always doing, and when I was doing gymnastics in college, I always wanted to be the girl at the piano singing those scales. There I went to the gymnasium, and so I would, it's all, and also the stunt schools, if you can get involved in a stunt school. Every actor, like Stanislavski, he says your actors should learn to tumble. They should learn defense. I agree. They should learn all of that. And so to be the best actor physically you can be, and after you've been through things like we've been through, working those muscles and really keeping them agile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So important. Have you ever worked with our friend Natasha Hopkins? She also doubled for Halle Berry.
No, I haven't.
She's
but
amazing.
I love
Shout
Halle
out to her.
Berry. I love her.
Yeah, we actually they filmed, did a background scene and some stand-in roles for Halle Berry when we were in Catwoman back in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
It would be excellent for Catwoman.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll work on that. I got to pretty large bucket list of things that I want to do. So the acting and now singing. So this brings us into the singing chapter of your life and also the 2 books. So what are the 2 books and when do we get to read them?
Oh, okay. Well, the one book, Rolling with the Punches.
Okay.
My husband, John Harrison, who's a best-selling author on Amazon and a film historian.
Okay.
He has written the entire filmography from 1976 to the present of my acting. We
Okay.
mention a little bit of the singing, and that's Rolling with the Punches. And they're both going to be submitted right away for publishers.
Yep.
We have half of both books done. The other, Cartwheels and Halos, a true Marneen Lynne Fields story, is about finding your true calling in the wake of your childhood dreams. It has a couple of the features,
Okay.
the bigger features from stunts and acting, but it's mainly about my childhood, being born I became severely hearing impaired at 18 years old and still continued to pursue all my dreams with my stunts, my acting, and my music.
Okay.
And so it's, and I've written that with just John's film historian things in there.
Great.
And they will publish right away. They're going to be, you can find me on Facebook, on Marneen Fields,
Yep.
Stunt Woman, and on that page, or the Marneen Lynne Fields. I've got videos up on Vimeo. All of them have won awards. I have top music producers like Stuart Epps of early Elton John and Led Zeppelin fame, and Kelly
Nice.
Clarkson's record producer, Steve Valenzuela, and Tom Weir of Blondie and Rod Stewart. Then next month, on March 23rd, I have just won Most Inspirational Song of 2017, Best of Las Vegas from the Producer's Choice Awards for my Catherine Davis Take Two, which is a pilot for a primetime sitcom I've created. And so you want to look for...
at you go. That's amazing. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
On everything you've done, you transitioned just beautifully into all these
I
new
know,
chapters.
it's a miracle. Yeah,
and
thank you.
as we say, what is meant to be will be. So, it's definitely working for you, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we can find you on all those social media platforms.
Right, on YouTube, under, or Vimeo.
Okay.
All the videos are there.
Great. Marneen Fields, an absolute pleasure to finally meet you and
You
have you
too.
on the show. You guys definitely look for her. Make sure that you're supporting her. Thank you so much for being here today. She's actually headed out to Brave Woman, to the floods and the storm outside. And she's headed to Australia. So have a safe flight.
Thank you very much.
And we'll definitely stay in touch. Make sure you guys find her. We're going to take a quick little break just so we can get Mr. Craig McEwen back in the seat in TLC Unleashed show. Thanks, guys.